I'm Ellen Volpe, and this is Opportunity Calls. This week, we have Jeff Goldberg of Jeff Goldberg Associates, Executive Coach, Sales Training, and Outsourced Sales Management. Thanks, Jeff, for coming today. I'm so excited to have you.
And I'm thrilled to be here. Thank you for having me on.
I was wondering if you could take a few minutes and share with the audience your background.
Are we starting from birth?
That would be a good place. Where were you born?
I was born in Chicago, moved to New York when I was 17 in the middle of my junior year because my father moved here for business, so we all came with him. I fell in love with New York. It was what I had seen all my life in the movies and on TV and in books, and I still remember driving here and being in New Jersey and seeing the skyline of New York and going, oh my God, I can't believe we're in the place that I've seen all these years. And they unfortunately hated it and moved back to Chicago 3 years later, but I've stayed almost the whole time. Went to college in the city at Baruch College, City University of New York, had no direction whatsoever. And my father, my stepfather, and both of my grandfathers were career salespeople. And I swore I will never, ever make the mistake of going into sales. Well, I got a job while I was in school at a part-time job at a furniture store about a block away from the school, being the office manager, doing ordering and customer service and things like that. And one day, the owner of the company said, hey, Jeff, you need to go sell those people because one of our salespeople hadn't shown up. And I said, I don't know how to sell. And he said, smile a lot, follow them around, take notes on what they're looking for. And when they pick out some furniture that they like, come back and I'll give you the prices. That's selling. Well, it wasn't something I really took to, in my opinion. It wasn't something I wanted to do, but almost 48 years later, I'm not only still selling, I'm training salespeople how to sell.
What were some of the other sales positions you held?
Well, I sold Encyclopedia Britannica door-to-door for 8 years, as well as having a permanent display at the LaGuardia Airport where people were walking from the ticket counter to the gate. They would talk with me. I was recruited away from there to become the sales manager at a company called Institute for International Research that put on about 300 industrial conferences a year. And I built a sales team for them. I was a recruiter for about a year. And then I left that company and opened up my own recruiting firm. Did that for about 4 years and then shut that down. I was the national sales director at a company called Frost & Sullivan, where I built their sales team from 3 up to 45 people when they left. And eventually I went to work for a sales training company, which is where I learned the art and the skill of both selling and delivering sales training. And it turned out to be the job that I've been meant to do all my life. My coach doesn't like when I say this, but I do enjoy being the center of attention. I'm a natural entertainer. I've got a background in theater and stand-up comedy, so I love to be in front of an audience. And I truly love to help people. And I don't say that to be altruistic. I love getting paid for what I do, but I love helping people. And, you know, when somebody calls me or sends me an email and says, hey, Jeff, that thing you taught me, I closed a deal, or I got a promotion, or I was able to feed my family, or I help companies make more money, it's a truly gratifying feeling. So everything happens for a reason. I don't know what took me so long, but eventually I found the job that I was meant to do.
Fantastic. I love that story, and you certainly are good at what you do. So today I wanted to talk a little bit about selling in the age of COVID. I'm frequently asked, should I sell now? What should I say? I'm not comfortable making phone calls during this time. As you know, I am a fan of a man by the name of Jay Abraham, and I've been listening to him for many, many years. And Jay always speaks to a concept called the strategy of preeminence. And recently, his definition really has struck me because he speaks to the responsibility that one has and a moral obligation and a privilege to sell to as many people as we can, if in fact we have something that is of value. And I'm wondering today, in terms of the reluctance that I hear, whether or not you could speak to that a little bit.
Yeah, well, I don't think I could say it any better than the great Jay Abraham. If you have a product or service that you truly believe in, and by the way, if you don't, you shouldn't be in sales at all, or you should be selling something different. But if you believe in what you're selling, then you owe it to your prospects to reach out to them and touch them and contact them and have conversations with them and help them, rather than sell them, help them choose to do business with you if it's right for them.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that said, there are going to be some things in this current environment, while we're still in the middle of the pandemic, when it might not be as easy as other times to reach out and touch someone if you don't have something that's very useful. I consider what I do incredibly useful. I help salespeople and sales organizations increase their sales. That's pretty useful right now. So I have no hesitation calling anybody from a CEO of a major corporation to an individual salesperson who might need coaching and saying, hey, I can help you grow your sales. So the answer is, if you believe in what you sell and you can do it well, then you owe it to people to do that. Now, when I say do it well, here's what I mean. You have to have empathy. You always do. But right now, it's even more important. And I think it's crucial for salespeople, no matter what they're selling, to understand that we're all freaking the F out right now. Mm. Some more than others. But we're at a time that, I'm 65 years old. I've never lived through anything like this. I lived through Vietnam. That wasn't like this. It's an insane, politically, things are crazy. Economically, things are crazy. And we've got a pandemic that is bringing us to our knees. So as salespeople, we need to understand that the person on the other end of the line probably has those same thoughts, or the other end of the Zoom call. They're worried. How am I going to do this? Am I going to be in business next week, next month, next year? How am I going to make it through this? And how is my family going to be okay? I mean, 200, I think, I forgot the number right now, but 220,000 plus people have already died. At my age, I don't sit and worry about it every day, but I worry about it more than my 18 or 19-year-old kids do. So I think we need to make sure that we understand that the people that we're selling to, even if they have a need or a want for what we've got, and we truly believe that we can help them, we better do it with empathy right now. How are things going for you? How has this affected you? How is this affecting your family? How can I best help you? And that goes to something else that I always believe, Ellen, whether it's during the pandemic, after the pandemic, before the pandemic, or any other time, your come from, and you can't see me because the camera's not going down there, but I'm pointing to my very ample belly right now, and I'm saying your come from had better be, how can I help you? I'm here to serve you, because sales is not a game of convincing or persuading or talking people into things. True salespeople who are really good at their jobs, they always come from service. Mm-hmm. And they're willing to say, in certain instances, you know what I've got for you isn't the right thing. Let me introduce you to somebody else. And if it is the right thing, then they're going to do everything they possibly can to make sure that the prospect makes the right choice for them, which is hopefully to do business with us.
I love that. So, Jeff, we were speaking in particular about salespeople being reluctant to pick up the phone these days. What I've been asked is, how can I do that? Everybody is suffering in some way, shape, or form. Can you speak to the conviction that a salesperson really has to have in order to actually break through that mindset?
Before we got onto this call, I was on LinkedIn, because I'm often on LinkedIn. I consider it the salesperson's best friend. And I was reading something written by a guy who I greatly respect, who I interviewed for my show recently. His name is Jason Bay. He's a young man, brilliant when it comes to prospecting. And what he said was, and I thought it was perfect, if you're waiting to like prospecting, you're going to be waiting a long time. Stop using it as an excuse. You're never going to like it. The thing that I always say, and one of the things I teach people to do is how to prospect, is I can never make you love prospecting, but what I can do is I can make you hate it a little bit less. And what Jason goes on to say is, it's kind of like going to the gym. And I wish I had thought of these words in this analogy, but that's what he did. He said, it's kind of like going to the gym. Most people don't really like going to the gym, but they know they need to pay the price. They need to eat right and work out and do things to be healthy. And it's the same thing with picking up the phone or sending an email or prospecting of any type, Ellen.
Right.
You've got to pay the price in order to get what you want. And you and I both know that Zig Ziglar said many years ago, if you help enough people get what they want, you'll get what you want. And that's the same thing here. Absolutely.
I also understand that you do not really like prospecting yourself.
Well, you know me way too well, my friend.
Yeah.
When you say I don't like prospecting, what you really mean is I don't like cold calling. It's my absolute favorite thing to teach. I really do love it, because I can teach you how to cold call today. You can be on the phone tomorrow making appointments. Like, it's that quick. Whereas when I teach selling skills, it's going to take a little longer to implement everything I'm sharing with an audience or with a particular salesperson.
Right.
No, I hate cold calling, and here's why. I want every call to go like this. So let's say I was calling you and you picked up the phone and you said ABA or Ellen Volpe or something. And I said, hey, Ellen, this is Jeff Goldberg from Jeff Goldberg and Associates. And you say, stop right there. I've heard about you. I know you're so damn good at what you do that you're going to get the appointment. And once I give you the appointment and you get out to my office or we get on a Zoom call, you're going to sell me. So why don't I just save us both some time and send you a check right now? Except most calls don't go that way, do they? So yeah, I don't like prospecting by phone. And I've worked very, very hard with the help of a lot of people to develop my business in such a way so that when I started out, I had a cold call a lot because it's still the quickest, most time-efficient and cost-effective way to fill up your calendar with appointments when you don't have any. But I've worked very hard to learn things like, networking from an expert like you, so that I could rely on that more and have to rely on cold calling less. And now I'm at the point where I only pick up the phone to cold call once a month, maybe for 15 or 20 minutes, just to make sure that what I'm teaching others is still working. But I think I've said this to you before. I'd rather live in my car before I would want to pick up the phone and say, hey, need any sales training or coaching today? Don't want to do it. However, that said, there are lots of other ways to prospect. And my mentor in this business took me aside very early on in the sales training career and said, look, man, one of the most important things we teach at this company is cold calling. We're known for teaching people how to cold call, but you don't want to do it. You got to do something. What are you going to do? And I said, I don't know what to do. And he said, well, what do you like? And I said, what I like standing in front of an audience and speaking to people. And he said brilliantly, go book a bunch of speeches. The National Speakers Association says 1 out of every 10 people in every audience will probably have a need or a want for what you've got. And so I booked a lot of free speeches and got business that way. I've become good at networking, not as good as you, but I've become good at networking. I love LinkedIn. I love social media. I've formed my own Facebook group, the Sales Pro Network. So I've done lots and lots of things to avoid having to cold call. But for salespeople, for most salespeople, prospecting must be a part of every day. Consistency being the key. Find the things that you like doing. You know, I co-authored a book, Leverage Your Laziness, which is about focusing on the things that you like to do and are good at and finding somebody else to do the things that you aren't good at or don't like. So I don't like cold calling. Good. I've made it so that I never have to cold call again. But I do like using LinkedIn, and I do like coming to ABA every 2 weeks and having opportunity calls and doing all those things and creating relationships. And I still love speaking. It's still my favorite way to get business. So everybody, almost every salesperson needs to prospect unless you've got some kind of an organization which is feeding you leads. I haven't found one for me yet. But if that's the case, great. But if not, you need to prospect on a very consistent basis, because anytime you don't, somewhere down the line, you're going to have a gap where you just can't possibly get paid.
You're watching Opportunity Calls with Ellen Volpe, presented by ABA, American Business Associates. To learn more about ABA, visit aba-ny.com.